made, let me get in Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, I want to ask you, you know, when she's looking at the numbers of, the voters in the constituency of Nandigram, when she's looking at the fact that there are 63,000 Muslim voters, but there are almost 1.7 lakh Hindu voters, you know, suddenly she's realized that she shouldn't be possibly taking any chances. She doesn't realize that, you know, people haven't forgotten the fact that Durga Puja immersion was not allowed. She hasn't, nobody will let her forget the fact that there were Muslim clerics who were given stipends, but, the Hindu priests were thought of much later. You know, instead she comes in with Chandi Path, 19 temple visited on one day, and then, you know, she's talking about consolidating her Hindu vote, reciting her Gotra as well on the last day. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, has BJP successfully, you know, contained Mamata Banerjee with this strategy into Nandigram so that the rest of the 29 seats is where they could have a free for all?
Good evening, Navika. If you remember 2 weeks ago on your show, I predicted that it might be Owaisi who might disclose his Gotra, but I was wrong. Turns out it is Didi. But you know, to be honest, at one level, Bengal is a jungle now. And the only law of the jungle is survival of the fittest, as simple as that. The other, equally crucial endowment of Darwinian evolution, empathy, is entirely missing. Navika, this is a fight to the finish, and both adversaries knows this. In a way, Didi's behavior reminds me of that iconic photo, you know, The Last Stand by the wildlife photographer John Dominus. The issue don't matter anymore. The back is against the wall. Abuses, lies, scaremongering, dog whistling, it's all kosher. Ironic. But if you go back a decade, this is exactly how the communists were behaving against Didi.
Yeah.
They knew it was their last battle then. She was the David then. And today, she is the Goliath. Psychologists call it the oppressor syndrome, you know. You inflict on others what was inflicted on you. It has been the case now for decades that a Bengal politician rides the tail of a tiger. Violence is second nature, unfortunately. And we've seen this in the past few years, how violence has been totally mainstreamed in Bengal. No one even bats an eyelid anymore when you tell them that 34% of seats, an astonishing 20,000 seats, went uncontested in the last Bengal Panchayat elections. No one bats an eyelid when you tell them of the trampling of press freedom, of subservient media in Bengal, of the brutal stomping of freedom of speech and expression, of common citizens, of diktats to universities curbing their freedom, of the sitting chief minister herself ordering her party leaders to return the cut money they have extorted from citizens and businesses, of arrests of doctors who complain about health infrastructure, be it for dengue or COVID, of the political violence and killings. No one bats an eyelid, Navika. It doesn't get mentioned in the reports prepared by those who certify India's democracy. Why? Because everyone has sensed that this is how life in a jungle operates. The laws are different. One just hopes that those traversing through this jungle find a clearing soon. Finally, Navika, just 10 seconds. You want to know the reason why violence continues decade on decade? Because the enablers who mainstream it are never punished. They jump ship. A huge chunk of CPI MLAs switched to TMC a decade ago. So here's a simple question to the BJP. Out of the 294 BJP candidates, how many are ex-TMC?